Good morning, everyone. That was not a rhetorical statement. Good morning, everyone. There we go. There we go. Good morning. Hi over there, Frank. Nice to see you all. Thank you for being here this morning. Welcome to Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living. I'm Reverend Mary Marie Shelton, the community spiritual leader here. And I know most of you know me, so you generally talk through this, but it's really nice to have you looking in this direction so I know you're actually present. So thank you. I'm glad you're here. Those of you who are online, welcome. What we believe here is that there is one mind, one power, one presence, and it exists in all of us all the time. So whoever you are, wherever you may be on your pathway of life and faith, you're welcome here. Welcome home. So we're going to get ready this morning to begin by saying hi to each other. So this is a time for those of you who are in the sanctuary here to stand up, walk around, greet one another, introduce yourselves, and just generally make each other welcome. And if you happen to be at home, give yourself a hug, pour yourself another cup of coffee, and get ready for a lovely morning with us. Just a few minutes. All right. Okay, so we have Daniel Nahmod with us again this morning, and I always love it when Daniel is doing the music because he relates to the audience so much. But the only thing to be aware of with Daniel is that as he introduces his songs, sometimes he does his own little mini sermon. And so there's like a long lead-in before he actually starts singing. So that happens on several of these songs this morning. So I'm going to let him talk to you. And then when we actually get ready to start, I'll just do this so we can all stand up and sing. Is that okay with you? Sure. So Daniel actually has performed for over 1 million people worldwide since starting his career in 1999. And if you watch any of these shows, you may have seen somebody perform his music. Saturday Night Live, The Voice, American Idol, the Super Bowl, and the Today Show. So our congregation has really loved Daniel Nahmod. Now, he had the same cold this past week that I had the week before. So he finally managed to get himself upright yesterday, enough to do the videos for us. So if he seems a little less than absolutely himself, that's why. So here we go. Here's Daniel with his opening talk. Oh, wait. We've done that. And we thank Daniel. I did that. Yeah, so here he goes. Oh, no. I get so busy talking to you, I forget I need to advance these things, Gets me into all kinds of trouble. Here we go.
Hello, my friends in Golden Gate. This is Daniel Nahmod here in Orange County. I hope you've avoided the nasty little cold that I've had the last few days. You might be able to hear it in my voice. I have been horizontal more than vertical this past week. But I'm feeling mostly better, and I'm glad to be with you as always, and glad to sing some songs for you, and this next song with you if you're so inclined. It's a song called Grace, and I think it'll lead nicely into the theme of the morning. So here we go.
Okay, please stand. That was relatively short for Daniel.
Finally, I rest, no more guessing where I'm going. Finally, I trust that the wind knows where it's blowing. You created heaven and earth long before my birth. The entire universe keeps turning. You hold every child in your arms, like the sky full of stars. They all know who you are. I'm learning grace. I can feel it. Grace, I can feel it moving through my soul, promising you'll never let me go. Finally, I see every moment has its reason, simply meant to be, like the turning of the season. You created all with your hands. I need not understand the invisible plan you're writing everywhere. Such infinite love, so much more than enough. It keeps lifting me up. I'm rising. Grace, I can feel it. Grace, I can feel it moving through my soul, promising you'll never let me go. Let's sing the chorus one more time. Grace, I can feel it. Grace, I can feel it moving through my soul, promising you'll never let me go. Grace,
You may be seated.
thanks for giving it a shot with me. I appreciate it.
All right. So we've started off on a reflective kind of level, and we're going to take that a little bit deeper now. So let's prepare to go within, silence your cell phones so there are no interruptions. And Lori Greer, our morning practitioner, is going to bring us into the center.
So turning within to that place within me that has never known any harm, any hurt, that infinite place where there is only love and the presence and the power of God. Knowing that there is only one life, and it is God's life, that is living itself through each and every one of its expressions. That life is filled with beauty, with joy, with overflowing abundance, wisdom, infinite intelligence, and the allness of creation. And I am a part of that. Everything that it is within me, expressing itself through me and as me. And my life is a reflection of that goodness, that overflowing abundance, that expression of creativity, that joy, expansive joy, love, beauty. And as I am a part of this one source, this one point back of all creation, so is each and every one here today. Each and every person present, alive, awake, and aware. Each person, each expression. We are all a part of this one infinite being that continues to unfold, to become more known to itself through its creation, that each of us is. And so knowing that this goodness lives within me, I claim and know for myself and invite every person present, every one, to know this same truth, because we are one, that the boundless, infinite source of the all good is pouring itself forth into each life, into every conversation, every moment, every opportunity is God expressing. Everything that is happening in my life is God. There is no denying. There is only one source. And so I call forth and claim for us an anchoring into this truth, a deepening in faith to know that the all good continues to express in infinite ways. No matter which way we look, no matter what we see, we know that there is a gift, and the gift is good, and the gift is God. And so remembering this as we go forward in this day, I bless this service, I bless this community, and I call forth a blessing for each one whose life is in need of some healing, some shift in consciousness to bring forth that greater good that God wants to give. And so I give thanks for knowing that this prayer, this spoken word, has power, because it is of the one source back of all creation. And so I release my word now into the law that takes it and makes it so. And so it is.
And so it is. Thank you, Lori.
I can see in your eyes, you're so weary. I can hear in your voice, you're afraid. I can tell by your touch, you've forgotten so much of the truth. I'll remember for you. When the plans that you've made lay abandoned, when your dreams you have seen disappear, no reason to try, you're even wondering why push on through. I'll remember for you. Don't you worry, even when you cry, 'cause every moment is in perfect time. Don't you worry, don't despair, you will find the answer to every prayer. So sail on your deepest ocean, go searching your skies above. I'll be calling you here when it all disappears from view. I'll remember for you. so real. Just beyond what you're seeing, you'll find you're enough, ever more than your human fear. So sail on your deepest ocean, go searching your skies above. I'll be calling you here when it all disappears from view. I'll remember for you. I'll remember for you.
Most of this year, when I've been talking about living out loud, I'm talking about making ourselves seen and heard. But being audacious isn't the only way to live out loud. Sometimes it's just standing quietly for what you believe in or what you're there for. I was watching the coronation yesterday for King Charles III, and I was really struck by what he said as a part of his prayer as he was going through the sequence of events that are required in the coronation process. One of the things he said was, "I come not to be served, but to serve." And it really struck me. I don't think very often about how the British royal family, their job really is to be in service. That's their whole job, to maintain somehow all the structures, the physical structures that have belonged to Britain since forever, that are considered royal structures, to keep those grounds and all of that, to take care of all of the art and the antiques and all those things, but also to serve the people somehow. And in a sense, they've almost decided that it's important for them to be invisible in a way, except for their service and showing up for ceremonial things. And I just wonder, in our tradition, how much we focus on being of service as opposed to using the philosophy to get what we want. So that occurred to me as I was thinking about that this morning. And during this month of May, our theme is a light shining in the darkness. When I wrote my book 20-some years ago, it had a different title than it does now. And the reason I changed the title is because I read a book and actually heard the man speak who had a near-death experience. And he said, he was quoting a poem, I can't remember the line exactly, but he said, "This is what my experience was like. It was, in part, a darkness that was full of light." Now that's hard to envision or imagine. So for me, a light shining in the darkness, or a darkness filled with light, has to do with an interior kind of experience that affects our seeing and our perceiving and our interpretations and our idea of who we are and why we're here. So a light that shines in the darkness is a wonderful thing, but the difficulty is that most human beings at some point in their lives are afraid of the dark. I was afraid of the dark as a child. You know, I had, at a young age, seen some black and white version of a play of Beauty and the Beast. And ever after that, I thought that the Beast either lived in my closet or under my bed and would come out at night. I was afraid to put my foot down to go to the bathroom. I would try and leap out of bed and run to the bathroom so I couldn't be grabbed. I had nightmares about this beast living in my closet. Never occurred to me to look for him during the day. When Amanda and I were living with Reverend Carroll, we would get to joking about how programs that we watched that had that were suspense shows or thrillers or where there was a criminal involved or something, that the main character, the protagonist, was always going after that whatever it was when it was dark and usually raining and they were alone. Why? Because for all of us, when we see that, it scares us. We feel fear for the protagonist, which is, of course, what the filmmaker wants to evoke for us so that we go right along with that character's experience. And so there are things in our own backgrounds, our own lives, that will evoke fear for us sometimes. And darkness is one of them. Although they say when we're born, as infants, we only have two natural fears at birth: a fear of loud noises and a fear of falling. That's it. Fear of the dark evolves later on. As little kids, we're not so afraid of the dark necessarily until we get to be a little bit older. Little Dylan had been helping his mother around the house, and he left the broom out on the back porch. And quite a bit later, after dinner, she was cleaning up the kitchen, and she realized the broom was missing. And she asked Dylan about it, and he told her where it was. So she asked him to please go and get it. And he was afraid of the dark, Dylan. And so he didn't want to go out and get the broom until the morning. But she needed it. So she just smiled at him very kindly and said, "God's out there too, Dylan. You don't need to be afraid." So Dylan went over the back door and he tentatively opened it just a little and shakily said through the crack, "God, if you're out there, please hand me the broom." So when we are afraid of darkness, there are a number of things that go right along with it that cause us to be afraid of it. One is that darkness has a tendency to fade color and reduce clarity, so we don't really know what we're looking at, or we might see something but not be sure what it is until it gets quite a bit closer. And to wait while it gets closer, we don't know if that's going to be a threat or not. Sometimes our own senses, our own past experience will trigger a fear response in us, even if we don't know exactly why that is. When I was a young adult, one of the things I became aware of growing up is that I have a great ability to put aside my disbelief, to suspend my disbelief. Now, the downside of that is if I happen to be watching a scary movie, that's not necessarily so good, because then I'd have to, ever after that, for quite a period of time, turn on all the lights in the house at night if I was going to go anywhere, because I couldn't go in the dark because I was already freaked out, right? Can anybody relate to this? Yeah? So when the movie The Exorcist came out, I don't think I ever saw the movie. Maybe I read the book. But because I was still kind of emerging from being steeped in the Catholic tradition for a long time, I could be driving in the car at night, and that theme song could come on the radio, and I would have to change the channel because it would freak me out. I'm in the car by myself, driving, listening to the radio, but it's dark. I never had to change the channel if that music came on during the daytime, only at night. So just hearing it would do that for me. Sometimes just catching sight of something. I also have several fears that are things that I tend to avoid because they freak me out. And I was looking yesterday because of the theme of this talk, which is overcoming fear of the dark, that maybe I needed to find careful ways to expose myself to those things that scare me so that I could move through that fear rather than just avoiding it. I've talked in the past about how fear is useful because it alerts us that we need to pay attention, that we need to be mindful of where we are and what we're doing. But if we take it as a red light, it blocks certain aspects of our lives. If we were to think of it maybe more like a flashing yellow light, pay attention, caution, slow down. but not stop, that we would have more experiences of life and we would choose when to respond to that alert rather than just doing a blanket, freezing, running the other way, or getting ready to fight. Does this make sense what I'm saying? So when we have darkness, we've got this experience that the unknowns are dim and they're indistinct and they're colorless, and that makes them more scary because we're always more afraid of the unknown than the known. We sort of figure we can manage the known. Herman Melville said, ignorance is the parent of fear. And actually, researchers at Penn State University took a group of women and they had them write down their specific worries for 10 days whenever they noticed they were worrying. Anybody in here good at worrying? Okay, so this might be an exercise to try. For 10 days, they wrote down everything they were worried about happening. And then they reviewed their list of worries every evening over the next month to see if any of them came true. And the researchers focused on worries that could be tested in that 30-day period. So they asked them, just write down the things you're worried about that could occur this week, next week, sometime this month, right? 91% of the worries were false alarms. Think of how much time got wasted. 91% of the things they were worrying about never came to pass. So the remaining 9% of the worries that did come true, the outcome was better than they expected about a third of the time. So about 1 in 4 participants, or 25%, exactly 0 of their worries manifested. Think of all the time and energy that we spend on that kind of thing, when the truth is that most fear is unfounded. And yet, it's taking up our energy, our focus, some of our intelligence even, in that process, because we get so wound up in it, yeah? So, we're afraid of what's hidden, that it might be dangerous. We're also afraid of being ambushed or surprised or hurt or injured in some way when we're not ready and we're defenseless. When we watch movies and television programs that have elements of suspense, thrillers, crime dramas, stuff like that, or even the news, the intention behind it is to stimulate, to make your attention irresistibly on that, to evoke that sense of concern or worry that whoever it is that's experiencing that is experiencing, so that we're sympathetic to them, but we feel it ourselves. And in some cases, it's there to make us feel outraged, to bring a call to action forward so that we feel something needs to be done. Now, if you live in that state of stress and tension a lot of the time, the world starts to present itself to you in that way, so that everything looks like something that needs to be fixed. Everything looks like something that isn't working, that's a source of tension or upset or disorder. Yeah? Does this make sense? You've noticed this? I mean, I'm not saying we should stop going to suspenseful movies or watching thrillers on television or anything like that, but we need to return ourselves to our normal state too, rather than just proceeding, off to bed in that state or something like that. We want to be able to regroup, recover, remember who we are and what's really true, so that we're not stuck in that. And so we want to think about, how do we meet our fear and dismiss it? In the sense, what I mean is disarm it by taking power away from the fear. When I was a kid, I had 25 cavities in my baby teeth that the dentist wanted to fill. And at one point in that long process, the receptionist said to my mother, Mrs. Murray, these aren't her permanent teeth. You wouldn't have to do all this. And my mother said, being somebody who always listened to anything a professional person told her, said, well, if she needs it, then that's what we should do. Although in retrospect, I kind of wonder if I really had 25 cavities or if we were just paying for a boat or something. But anyway, regardless of that, because of that, I developed a certain amount of tension around dentists. And one of the things Amanda refers to as an example is she says, when she goes to the dentist, she says, I look completely relaxed, but you could lift me up in one piece and nothing would move, So trying to find a way through that triggered fear that comes up as a response to trauma. So that means the smell of the dentist's office, the sound of the drill, those kinds of things can evoke that immediate reaction, even though we know as adults they're taking care of us, and even if we get a little zing, we're going to be okay. It still can bring those feelings about. I have a friend who's an actor in New York, and he was in the television series of The Exorcist a few years back, and he had a major role in it, so I wanted to watch it on television. And I watched maybe 3 episodes. And I decided, even now, it was still too creepy and scary for me to watch. Even though I could watch it anytime, I could watch it in the morning, I could watch it in the daylight, didn't matter. It was still floating around in there. So in order for us to meet a fear and disarm it, we actually do have to meet it. You see this guy? He's standing on 2 boards way up in the air that he's walking across, but you can see through them. You can see down to the ground below. I don't know what kind of handrails he has. Byron Katie says, it's not the darkness that people fear. It's what they imagine into the darkness, right? What they imagine into the darkness. And in my favorite book by our founder, Ernest Holmes, he wrote, there is something within you beyond all doubt and fear, something which has never been limited by your acts or destroyed by your feeling. This is the only something that can make you whole. So if I feel those fears, then what do I do to move beyond my irrational fears and doubts? Because basically, we're bringing into focus false beliefs, or at least we're believing more in something that we haven't seen yet, and it may not even be there, than what's actually available for us to see and experience. So how do we begin to move through that? You know that song, Whistle a Happy Tune? So no one will suspect I'm afraid. And when I fool the people I fear, I fool myself as well. So the idea of doing something that lifts us into a different space can help to smooth that fear out. That little song isn't really wrong about that. If you name what it is that you're afraid of, without judging it, just recognize what it is. Well, I'm afraid of snakes, or I'm afraid of spiders, or heights, or I'm afraid of, skiing too fast, or whatever it is. If you know what it is, you've already made it a little bit more manageable. So first we want to name the fears, and then we want to understand what triggers those fears. If you're afraid of snakes, the idea of being close to a snake could be pretty freaky. But sometimes those fears get so big that even seeing a snake on television could freak somebody out. I mean, really, I'm sure if I was watching The Exorcist, my hands would be sweating. My heart would be pounding. I would be wanting to hit pause a lot and go to the kitchen for something to eat. Comforting, something like that. In the Celtic Wheel of the Year is this poem, O great Spirit, who knows the roots of all, walk the unknown path with me this day. Past the map's edge, where all the landmarks cease, here be dragons. Give me courage to meet them Embolden my vision that I might deeply see. Embolden my steps where I fear to tread. Strengthen my resolve when overcoming threats. Equip my soul when I face them head on, that my love may know because it has dared. Fill me with compassion to befriend all that frightens. Inspirit my faith through that brave adventure. I may trust you more as I set out beyond the signs. Stoke the fire in my belly, that I might live passionately and see things more off-road as I continue my journey this day. Let me experience my life. Let me step off the beaten path sometimes and explore without being so frightened I can't see and enjoy and discover what's there, gifting itself to me to savor, to enjoy, to experience. So I want to identify my false beliefs. If I have a fear of heights, what is the belief? Well, the belief is I might fall. The belief is it's so far down, I might fall. My mom was afraid of flying because what keeps those up there? She was afraid of boats because it could sink. She wasn't afraid of cars, but she never did learn how to drive. So when you have a fear of those various things, it limits your availability to do it. My mother visited me once in California after I moved here in 1986. It was that first year when I lived in an apartment in Rohnert Park, and my son was still living up in Seattle with his dad because he started first grade up there. So they were coming for Christmas, and both of them thought they were coming along to take care of the other one. One of my brothers said to me, I don't know if your mom's going to be able to do this. You know, she's afraid to get in a plane. She's afraid to fly. And I said, oh, Tom, just take her by the elbows and steer her onto the plane. She was his stepmother. He goes, Mary, I can't do that to your mom. You could do that, but I can't. I said, well, let Luke handle it. He was 6. Luke thought, Mr. Fearless, this was a great adventure, right? And so he was taking care of Grandma. I think the only thing that got my mother to California was being there to take care of Luke. That was it. He probably would have been fine on his own because he was never afraid of anything. But she got here once. I never asked her to do it again because it was clear to me, seeing her in the airport, that the worry and the nervousness of it was too costly to her for me to keep that up. Now, I could rationally tell her that her chances of having anything bad happen on the plane were a lot less than going somewhere in the car or on the bus, which she took all the time. But one of my brothers had been in a plane crash. And so there was nothing that was going to make her feel like this was always safe. She would have thought, given her luck, that it was more likely to crash if she was in it. Sad. But we all have fears like that that get in our way of living our lives. And we want to step up and see those fears from a higher place. Does this make sense what I'm saying? Are you all with me here so far? So if we name our fears, if we understand what triggers them, is it the sight of a snake? Is it the sound of the theme of The Exorcist? If we identify our false beliefs, and then we begin to question that fear's power over us, we're used to having a reaction to the fear. Usually people do one of 3 things. They fight back, they run away, or they freeze. One of those 3 things. But what if there were another choice? What if we could observe our fear and acknowledge it and step forward anyway? Just take it with us. If we could befriend the fear, as Ernest Holmes says, then we could possibly take it by the hand and take it with us, but recognize there was more to us and more going on than the fear that we're feeling. Then it could become a flashing yellow light instead of a stop. And then we might have more freedom in our lives to discover that wasn't so bad. I can't even enumerate all the times I've resisted doing something because I dreaded it, only to do it and discover, I could have done it a long time ago. It wasn't really that big a deal. Does that ever happen to you? That kind of thing? And so our worries are just another piece of information floating around in there. They probably don't even belong to us. We collected them from somebody else when we were very young and carried them forward throughout our lives. Jesus is reputed to have said, "Fear not, little flock. It's your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom." And he also said, "The kingdom of heaven is neither low here nor low there. Behold, the kingdom of heaven is within." Or another translation says, "in our midst," meaning it's right here. So if the divine presence has no reluctance to give us everything we need, then wouldn't we have within us somehow, in the moments that we need it, no matter how frazzled we feel, couldn't we also assume that we have within us something that can guide us to the right decision, to knowing what to do? Do I leave this situation? Do I stay through this situation, even though it scares me? Do I take action, even though I'm apprehensive about how it will turn out, or not? Do I have the clarity to make that kind of decision? Well, sure. Of course I do. Of course we all do, because there's only one mind, and it's within all of us all the time. Do you think that the mind of God within you is frozen and terrified? Do you think that the mind of God within you is going to beat up on somebody because they're there and you feel afraid? Or run in terror? No, probably none of that. Because the presence knows that whatever it is that we're afraid of is also an aspect of itself manifesting out there, whatever we think it looks like, yeah? And we have other choices. Byron Katie told a story once that she was held up at knife point or something. And I don't know if she thought the man might rape her. There was something going on there. But she said, looking at him, she could see that he was very afraid. And so she said to him, because since this kind of awakening that she's had, she really doesn't feel fearful. So she just said to him, "It's all right. Don't be afraid." And he stopped and he left. How did that happen? Some voice of wisdom within her communicated some caring to him somehow, and he let go of what he was trying to do or what he thought he wanted to do in that moment. So after we've noticed and named the fear, and we have understood what triggers it, and we have recognized the false beliefs, then if we imagine ourselves in the desired outcome that we want to experience, we begin to make that real inside of ourselves, not probably while we're in the situation. You know, you're not going to stop and do a visualization of being safe when there's a snake right in front of you and you're afraid of it, but in a safe place, to just approach what you're afraid of and imagine it all working itself out very well. And there is a flip side to that too, that we can think through, what would I do if the worst possible thing happened? What would my steps be at that point in time? What would I try? What would I do? Because if we acknowledge to ourselves, yeah, that could happen, it's not very likely, but that could happen, then what would I do? If we have some idea how we would respond to it, that also takes some of the charge off of it or removes it from that. Mary Oliver, the poet, wrote, "Someone I loved once gave me a box full of darkness. It took me years to understand that this too was a gift." So if we can look at that, breathe, relax, imagine the best outcome. James Stevens said, "Curiosity will conquer fear even more than bravery will." Curiosity, like, what is this really about? How does this snake feel in front of me? Maybe this snake is as afraid of me as I am of it. Yes? I mean, why attack if you don't feel like you need to defend yourself? We're far too large to eat for most snakes. If I look at it from the point of view of somewhere else, if I put myself into the experience of someone who's not frightened by this, what does that feel like? If we broaden our imagination into curiosity, then, as Julia Cameron says, creativity, like human life itself, begins in darkness. Why do we invent things? Because we want to solve a problem. There's a challenge, there's a difficulty, there's a darkness. We want to bring light to it, so we invent things. Why do we do creative things? Dances, plays, music, art. We do it because we want to express something that sets something free, that lets something loose from us and into the world. In The Essential Ernest Holmes is quoted as saying, "What would happen if we converted the energy of fear to faith?" What replaces fear of the unknown? Information. How do we get information? We're curious. We go looking for it. What else helps us get through the fear of the unknown? Experience. If you have moved through that fear and survived once, chances are you can do it again. So experience will help us. And also, practicing can help us. If we're afraid of something, the more we attempt small steps toward doing it, the more familiar that gets, the less scary it is. I have told ministerial students many times when I was talking about how to give a talk that when you stand up in front of somebody, it's going to be scary. You're going to feel nervous. But the more you do it, the less that will be a problem. The less that will continue to affect you. The first time I remember speaking in front of a bunch of people was at the state fair. I got to take a demonstration, a cooking demonstration, to the state fair in the huge town of Enumclaw in Washington. And I had a microphone on, and I had my ingredients in front of me on the table, and I was describing how to do this, just the way I'd practiced it at home, describing how to do it while I was doing it. I don't know if my voice was shaking, but my legs were shaking so much, I was afraid everybody would be able to see under the table how nervous I was. I was 10. And yet here I am. And my legs aren't shaking. I am locking my knees, though. I shouldn't be doing that, probably. But it's a whole different thing, because the more I was in front of people, the less it became intimidating. You know, Jerry Seinfeld says that they say that fear of public speaking is the number one fear in the country. Fear of death is third. I don't know what's second. But he said that basically means that if you're at a funeral, you're better off in the coffin than giving the eulogy. So that's not what we want, right? So Holmes says, what would happen if we converted the energy of fear to faith, the energy of doubt to a feeling of belonging in the universe and being safe in it? Would not the original artist in us go forth into a new creation? Yes. So as we cultivate these steps, the information, the curiosity, the practice, we begin to set ourselves free into a greater sense of inner peace that allows us, each time we approach that fearful thing, to come into it with a greater sense of freedom and confidence and inner peace. I came across this little story, which I have one more thing to read to you after this, but this little story I thought was really cute. This fellow says, as a university professor, I would take a break from my work in the evenings to play an online game, World of Warcraft. Now, probably none of you are gamers here, so you may not know World of Warcraft, but my son is a gamer, and I've heard about World of Warcraft many times, okay? So he says, one night, our team, so they're all online together, but they're spread out in all different places. One night, our team was led by a veteran who was fearless. He made us all feel so powerful as we crushed our opponents. But then he abruptly left the game, saying his mom said it was an hour past his bedtime. Let that sink in. All these adults are relying on this leader, whom they've never seen. They don't know who he is, right? And he's fearless. Could have been Luke at 9, who knows? So if we have the experience, then, or sometimes if we see someone else do it, we think, I could do that. Yeah? It gives us the encouragement we need. So this poem from David White is about an experience he had in Nepal. He had been with a group of people hiking in the mountains in Nepal, and he wanted to go to a particular area, and so he went off by himself, and he was going to come and meet them further down on the trail, but he wanted to go to this ashram or someplace that was off and have some quiet time. So he did that. And then he came to the place where he was going to continue on, and what he saw was that there was a canyon, a very deep canyon, and over it there was one of these bridges that had planks and ropes to hold on to. There was nothing bridge-like about it, and that some of these planks had rotted away or were hanging, or, and the whole thing was a little askew, and this is what happened. He says, young, male, and immortal, as I was, I stopped at the first sight of that broken bridge. The taut cables snapped, and the bridge planks concertinaed into a crazy jumble over the drop, 400 feet to the craggy stream. I sat and watched the wind shiver on those broken planks, as if by looking hard enough and long enough, the lifeline might spontaneously repair itself, but watched in vain. An hour I sat in silence, checking each involuntary movement of the body toward that trembling bridge with a fearful mind and an emphatic shake of the head. Finally, facing defeat and about to go back the way I came to meet the others, 3 days round by another pass, enter the old woman with her stooped gait, her dark clothes, and her dung basket clasped to her back, small feet shuffling for the precious gold-brown fuel for cooking food. Intent on the ground, she glimpsed my feet and looking up said, Namaste. I greet the God in you, the last syllable held like a song. I inclined my head and clasped my hands to reply, but before I could look up, she turned her lined face and went straight across that shivering chaos of wood and broken steel in one movement. One day, the hero sits down, afraid to take another step, and the old interior angel limps slowly in with her no-nonsense compassion and her old secret and goes ahead. Namaste, you say, and follow. Namaste. So let's anchor this overcoming fear of the dark inside ourselves right now. So as we turn within, I invite you to bring to mind something that makes you uncomfortable or you're kind of afraid of it, whatever it means, person, place, thing, situation, circumstance, condition, whatever it is. Just acknowledge inwardly to yourself that that thing scares you or makes you nervous or worries you. And now, see the light of God shining through that person, place, thing, object, situation, so brilliantly you realize that what you're looking upon is the divine presence in disguise. And it is there for you in that moment to behold, to respect, to send love to, and to make a choice about how to respond. This choice is our freedom. Everything that exists is in that light, in that oneness, in that divine being. It is omnipresent everywhere, always, and always has been. It is behind and within every one of us and everything we see, feel, touch. Remember, it's right there. So I speak this word for us, that the blinders we wear may fall away, that we may look through the eyes of the divine and always have the opportunity to relabel our fears and see the truth, to open in love to the wholeness that we always were, that's right here before us, and to receive the blessing no matter what the situation. We can do this because we are that presence and expression too. And all of it is right here within us right now. So with great gratitude, we invite ourselves to step into the world with a little more curiosity, a little more willingness, a little more sense of ease, to discover the greatness in the unknown. So we let this prayer go and let it be so. And so it is. Amen. Please stand and join me now in the morning affirmation. I breathe through my fears of the unknown and unfamiliar. God is always there, even in the presence of these. Fear arises only to support my safety, so I choose to breathe and trust God whenever I feel fearful. I am safe, even in the darkness, and so it is. Great, you may be seated. This is our sacred giving time. So we love to bless the offering. We do that because we want to send forth this part of ourselves that we're entrusting to the world with a blessing, not with resentment or fear or anxiety, but with love. Our goal is to so train ourselves that every dollar we send out into the world for anything goes with this energy of blessing, of expansion and multiplying the good out in the world. If you would like to text your donation this morning, you can do that by using the phone number that's on the slide. If you have already given your gift this week or this month, depending on how you give, or you give automatically, then we're blessing that offering right now in this room, as well as everything Golden Gate has received up to now this week, and everything we've given everywhere this week, all right? So ushers, please join us up front as we prepare to bless the offering now. We say this together as one. This gift is God in action. I now send it forth to bless and to prosper. I know that everywhere it goes, it is creating a world living in love, one heart and one thought at a time. And so it is. Go ahead. This is a long talk, so just rest. Oh, we don't hear him. Why do we not hear him? Hello back there. There's no sound coming out. But that's okay because he talks for quite a while. So by the time he starts to sing, we will have made him audible. How very strange. What in the world changed? That's so weird. And still he's talking. I now know why we had this very long introduction that he's doing. It's because we needed to take care of the technical difficulties over here that we didn't even know we were going to have this morning. Thank you, Daniel. He's still talking. This is good. Rick, can you take a look at it and see if you have any ideas? We get all of you over there? What is it? Yeah, I haven't changed anything. All the other music was fine. Is he singing yet? Oh, yeah. Now he's going to sing. Well, we will give him another moment, and if we just don't get him, then we'll go on. That's too bad. This was a nice song. Okay, well, we'll bless the offering. So let's do that. We do, all of us together in this room on behalf of Golden Gate, bless this offering and send it out into the world to dampen fear, to bring forward more light, to let people become more free. And so it is. Okay, well, we'll have to move on. Golly, I'm so sorry about that. Not what we were expecting. Okay. So, if you're here with us today for the first time, thank you for coming. You will find information on this table at the back specifically for you. Please pick up anything that looks interesting to you back there and get it. And you'll find there are welcome packets back there specifically for you that have a blue welcome card inside. Fill this out and give it to Galen back there, who's waving the packet around. And she's going to give you a little book, which is our gift to you. It's our thank you for being here and our invitation to you to come back and be with us often in the future. We want to give a special thanks to everybody who participated in putting this together this morning, and especially this lovely altar that the Frost family did. You'll notice there are little houses there, but there are also candles in the houses and lights up there and candles on the stand with the Science of Mind symbol, the teaching symbol up there. That's to bring more light into the shadows, into the darkness. And the three houses represent the three of them, Randy and Bridget and Karen, who are looking for a new home. So this, then, they don't want three different homes, but they want different aspects of things for their homes. So this altar holds that prayer. So I invite you at the service's end to come up and just spend a moment giving your energy to that unfolding demonstration of their right home in its right place where they're happy and fulfilled. And in the meantime, let's thank everybody who's on duty today and has helped set up and make this a great morning. Gentlemen, there is a gathering coming up for you this coming Saturday. It's a barbecue, pool party, and drumming circle. It's going to be at Russ Mabarty's place in Petaluma from 12 to 3 p.m. And there will be meat for grilling provided, but please bring side dishes, appetizers, desserts, and stuff like that. And do RSVP to Russ so he has some idea how many are coming and how much meat he needs, or if you're bringing a non-meat thing to be grilled. His info is up there on the screen. Also, last week when you came in, you got one of these lovely flyers, half-sheet flyers, for the workshop that Leslie Janetti is doing next week. This is based on the work of Joel Goldsmith, and it's going to be experiential and just yummy. She has talked about it several times, so I'll just say, please go to the back and sign up on the sign-up sheet or talk directly to Leslie. She's over here at the practitioner table this morning. This will be a live workshop at our learning center in San Rafael in the fireside room downstairs. So it's not a Zoom workshop. It doesn't have another option. This is in person. And you can sign up right back there to learn more about what's possible. The Women's Drumming Circle is coming up on the 17th, and that's from 7 to 8:30 p.m. at Unity in Marin. The drumming is led by Barbara Borden, who's a professional, and the chanting is led by Karen Drucker. There's a place you can register in advance, or you can talk to Lori this morning, who was our morning practitioner. She knows all about the drumming circle. She can tell you everything. Now, the Sunday after Mother's Day, Dr. Barbara Leger is going to be leading a workshop also in person in the fireside room at the Learning Center from 12:30 to 3:30. And this is bringing her work that she does with the students in Ukraine. I mean, she's developed the work that is done with them because she can't go back there right now, obviously. And she's bringing forward the spiritual practice of turning to peace first, no matter what the challenges are that are going on. So she's going to do some training, responder training, to respond with peace first. You can sign up for that at the back table this morning as well, and you all received a half-sheet flyer when you came in about it. And by the way, all this stuff I'm saying is probably in your morning bulletin, but I'm saying it because not everybody reads everything. And sometimes you need to see it and read it and hear it before it actually goes in. So I'm inviting you to these wonderful workshops. Please sign up at the back table. And then also, on the last Sunday of the month, we're having a wonderful men's brunch here immediately after the service. It's only $10, and the guys put on quite a wonderful spread. We have it right here, and all the proceeds from it come back to Golden Gate. So we look forward to their wonderful brunch on the last day of May. And finally, hospitality, the Sunday greeters and ushers and snack putter-outers, those folks could use some help on their teams. It's just for the morning once a month if you sign up to do that. And you can let Paula know or ask her questions about it immediately after the service. And you'll recognize Paula because she'll be over here right away after the service, making sure the snacks are out. Stop and talk to her about it. We would love to have your participation. It's a great way to get connected with the congregation. And this Wednesday night's meditation is a Taizé service. And if you don't know what that is, come. It's on Zoom. So you don't even have to leave your house. If you've got your bunny slippers on, we'll never know. Especially those of you that are online. Come to the Wednesday night meditation, 7:15. Go to our online calendar on our website under the events and classes tab. And you'll find this month, and you can click on it. It'll take you to the page where you can find the Zoom link. All right. So, prayer. Would the practitioners please surround the room? If you would like a personal prayer with a practitioner after the service, Selma and Leslie will be at the table over here. Go to the table, and they will take you to a private spot where they can do a prayer for you. If you'd like to make a written request, the box is there. But in the meantime, all of us together are going to join in prayer. And our job, those of you in the middle of the room and all of us in the circle, is to, as these words are being said, to also open up, to let them in. So here we go. And so it is. Please stand and join us for the closing blessing and the closing song. Hopefully we'll be able to hear Daniel for the closing song. So, please join me. I now walk so that whoever walks beside me dwells in the presence of God, and whoever places a hand in mine is lifted, and whoever thinks of me is illumined with God consciousness. For spirit and all people and I are one eternally, and so it is. And now he's going to talk for a long time before we sing. So, if you need to sit down for a minute, please do that, and we'll all stand up again. Oh, God, are we not hearing him? Oh, now when we ran this at the beginning, we were hearing him fine. Okay, let me see what happened over here. How weird is that? I'm plugged in. Oh, well, yeah, but that doesn't generally cause a problem. It's all the way up. Okay, turn it down for a second because I want to unplug this and plug it back in. Uh-oh. Sorry, Daniel.
Weekend, and I have a song in mind to close with. It's not technically a sing-along, but I hope you'll consider joining me on it. It is a song from an album called Water. I haven't done many water songs for you all, and the water songs are actually kind of a coherent philosophy of life that I think really ties in nicely to today as a theme. They're really about being like water, about not attempting to control what is beyond my control, about loosening my hands off the steering wheel a bit, taking a deep breath, addressing what's right in front of me, and letting go what's behind me, and letting go what's in front of me and unknowable. This is a song that I really have a lot of fun singing. It came to mind today for you. And so I'm going to invite you to sing with me, put up the lyrics, and or you're welcome to just let me serenade you one more time. And I also want to invite you actually to my Facebook shows, which are, my Facebook address is Daniel Nahmod USA. And the reason I'm inviting you not only is because you're always welcome. Monday nights, I'm live at 6 p.m. every Monday night with a little show, 45 minutes to an hour and a quarter. And I also have done many workshops based on the water songs. And I've actually done 3 of these workshops in just the last couple weeks on my travels. And I've always felt like they were powerful and impactful and made a difference and provoked some really interesting thinking and feeling. And I'm going to be doing another one online through Zoom probably. But if you're on my Facebook shows, if you follow it or whatever the word is, friend it or whatever, you'll find out about when I'm doing one of these water workshops. They're not expensive, they're not complicated. It's just a couple hours live online where I sing you some songs, ask you some questions, and we just have a conversation about what it is in our lives we are working so hard to control that we're missing the best of the day-to-day life we're living. We miss the moment because we're so concerned with past and future and so concerned with how it all looks, how it all turns out, the legacy we leave, all these sorts of weighty questions that, at least in my experience, burden a day more than brighten it. So the fear is universal, but it doesn't need to decide how I live today. So here's a song on that subject. It's a lighter song than all that, but you're invited
Yes.
at Facebook, and I hope you enjoy
quick,
it.
actually.
And thank you again for having me. And for God's sake, stay away from the virus that laid me low this week. It is very, very unfriendly. I don't like it at all. All right, here we go.
All right, now we're going to sing.
I came to the fork of a river, and I didn't know which way I should go. Had no map, no compass, no driver, precious little information to show. It can be hard in this life to make decisions, and it's an altogether common thing to fail. But as I surveyed my current situation, I decided to just go ahead and sail. There is no one way, there is no foolproof plan, no fateful final chance. I just wake up each day, do the best I can, and when I hear the music, dance. I confess I get confused quite often. Seems sometimes I hardly ever get it right. But I think life's about just facing fear and trying, so I'll just point my little boat towards the light. There is no one way, there is no foolproof plan, no fateful final chance. I just wake up each day, do the best I can, and when I hear the music, dance. So whatever you're facing, just remember this: that control you've been craving cannot be. Just take a long, deep breath and surrender it. You'll be all right, you'll see. There is no one way, there is no foolproof plan, no fateful final chance. I just wake up each day, do the best I can, and when I hear the music, dance. Sing it again. There is no one way, there is no foolproof plan, no fateful final chance. I just wake up each day, do the best I can, and when I hear the music, dance. Once more, there is no one way, there is no foolproof plan, no fateful final chance. So just wake up each day and do the best you can, and when you hear the music, dance. When you hear the music, dance. When you hear the music, dance. Thank you again.